Welcome back to the Building a Business series, where I take you through the process of building a software business. So we made it through the holiday season, and now I've got a few updates to provide you. So if you watched the last video, the link will be in the description and somewhere on the screen. You'll know that I came up with a few research questions in order to determine whether or not the product that I'm thinking of building will have any value in the world, and also to help guide the direction of the product so that the thing we build is actually something that's useful for people. So I'm going to switch screens really fast, and I'm going to show you some of the answers that I got from posting those questions on my Instagram in the form of a story poll. So let me switch screens. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, it looks like you can. So I'm just going to go through the questions and the results and give you some preliminary interpretations. So the first question I had, and actually these might not be in order. I'm not sure what the order was. I can't remember, but you can look at the last video to see that exactly. Are you familiar with the concept of investing? So most people are. Some people aren't, and some people aren't sure. So that's kind of what I expected given the demographic of my audience. And that's just a preliminary check to see that, is this even a sane poll, basically? Pretty much what I was expecting. It's a little bit surprising that there's 14% no, but there could be a bunch of reasons for why someone would say no, so take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, take all of these questions with a grain of salt. Number one, because they're mostly from friends of mine, answers from friends of mine, but also because they're polls, so you can't really get a full, comprehensive understanding of what happened. Anyways, next question. Do you consider yourself an investor? So only 30% said yes, 59% no, and 11% maybe. So this is kind of expected, but at the same time, not ideal, because ideally we want people to believe that they are investors, and actually most people are investors. So just because you're not investing in the stock market doesn't mean you're not investing. For example, you could be investing in your education. I would consider that an investment. And you could be investing in a lot of other things, starting your own business, investing in the stock market, investing in the bond market, investing in all markets, education. All of these things are investing. What we're focusing on is just one aspect of investing. Next question, what investment avenue are you most interested in? So answers here are interesting. 10% crypto, 62% stocks, 0 money market, 9% real estate, and 19% other. So this is good because clearly people are interested in the stock market, and that's what we're going to be focusing on, at least primarily. I do hope to get into crypto at some point, but the space needs to evolve a little bit before I can really get in there with analytics that are meaningful. I really hope that there's a bigger push towards tokenizing stocks, because I think that could help the global markets in a big way. But we'll have to wait for that, because that is going to need collaboration between regulators and people in crypto. Next one, are you interested in investing? 88% yes, 4% no, and 8% maybe. Obviously, this is really good for this business model, because if people aren't interested in investing, there's going to be no one that wants to use this product. How would you best describe yourself as an investor? Most people describe themselves as beginner, 22% intermediary and 9% advanced. Again, this makes sense because of the demographic. My friends, people I know, they're mostly younger people, so most of them, just by definition, are going to be beginner investors. Overall, that's a good sign because part of this platform, we're going to try and educate people, number one, and also provide ongoing tools in order to make better investment decisions. So really, no matter what the answer to this question was, it would be okay. It would just change the focus of the product. So if everyone considered themselves intermediate, then maybe I don't have to go over all of the different concepts from the basics. Next one, I would rather invest for myself, have others invest for me, and unsure. Most people here want to invest for themselves. I've seen that as a trend in the general public. People want to manage their own money because people don't trust other people with managing their money. There's a long history of mismanagement of other people's money, and also people just want to decide what they're investing in these days. I think, obviously, that's a guess, but hopefully an educated guess. Next one here, saving and investing makes you feel. So hopefully I can read all these out without jumbling them up. Pretty evenly distributed across the board, but biggest one here looks like a tie between excited and scared, anxious, or worried. So that's interesting. Let's see. It's a 15% that's confident. Then we've got 12% incapable. So really the anxiousness, the negative feelings is more like 34% at least. Yeah, because if you add up incapable and you add up the scared, anxious, and worried, 12% other. Oh, actually, 12% confused, so it's even higher. Really, people seem to be, according to this at least, some form of unsure, scared, all these things that ideally we can help with. I guess we can move on. Next one, what is preventing you from investing for yourself? So the highest one here is fear of losing money. Hopefully we can help with that. Give you a little bit of confidence based on historical data and tools to help you analyze companies more efficiently. Lack of money, that's a hard problem to solve, but the next question will kind of address that, hopefully. Lack of knowledge, again, hopefully we can solve that. And what else do we have here? Procrastination a little bit. And 0% uninterested for this one. Also 0% lack of time, which is interesting. So, okay, last question, which will hopefully address the lack of knowledge of the last one. How much money do you think you need before you can start investing in stocks and bonds? So 41%, 1 cent to $1,000. This is the only question which I would say has a correct answer. And the correct answer is from 1 cent to $1,000 because you do not need much money to start investing. 44% said 1,000 to 5,000. That's wrong. You can definitely invest with much less than $1,000. 4%, 5,000 to 10,000 again, and 11%, 10,000 plus. You definitely don't need 10,000 plus. You could maybe make an argument, depending on how you're investing, for the $1,000 to $5,000 range. Definitely not for the 5,000 to 10,000, and definitely not for 10,000 plus. So you really don't need much to start investing, and hopefully the platform will describe to you why that is. But I can give you a quick answer right now. Depending on how you invest, the actual action of investing can be anywhere from free, which isn't really free. You're paying for it in some way, but I can get into that in more detail later. And usually the norm for if it's not free is about $10 a trade. So if you spend $100, if you invest $100 and you're spending $10 to make that investment, because that's the fee of the people selling you those investments, enabling the trading of those investments, then you're going to be paying 10% just for making that transaction. But if you go down the free route, you might be paying less than that. You might be paying more than that. It depends on the situation. But if you think that you're going to make more than that 10% back, then that's a good investment. So yeah, you can definitely invest with less than $1,000. It's just you have to make sure that you're paying attention to the fees associated with the investment decision you're making. So that's the end of that. All these questions are going to they're going to help me build a story, essentially. So what I'm planning on doing with this is helping address some of these misconceptions that are presented in this on the landing page of the site in order to give people the impetus to start at least checking out the platform. And if they don't use the platform, at least thinking about investing. So that's that. I don't think I need to say anything about that. So let me give you a quick update on the rest of the stuff that I've been doing. So over the holidays and since the last video, there's been a few things going on in parallel. Number one, I've been purchasing some domains for the name that we selected, but I'm not going to give out the name yet. I'm going to wait on that. But you'll definitely know, ideally in the next month or two. We've been working on designs for the site, preliminary designs, thinking about the first feature we need. We've decided on the first feature. We're going to release that information at some point in the future as well. But yeah, I guess I'll leave it for later. I've been working on back-end code for that first feature. So there's a bunch of stuff that goes into that. Number one, thinking about how to collect the data that we need in order to create this feature. So we've been looking at data directly from the Securities and Exchange Commission for US data. And we've also been looking at different data providers in order to get pricing information and all of the supplementary stuff that we need. Ideally, we can also get Canadian data because we are a Canadian company. But Canadian data seems like it's a little harder to come by. And when I was working at my last company, Migrations ML, not my company, when I was working for Migrations ML, we also noticed that it was more difficult / expensive to attain Canadian data for that market at least. So we've got to collect all this data together, process it, put it in the correct format, run the analysis on that data in order to create our outputs that will then be used by the application to present to you, hopefully, information that's useful. Also, we've been working on testing the strategy, back testing it's called, where you take the strategy and see how it performed on historical data. Obviously, back testing isn't 100% guaranteed to produce future results, but we think that in a good scenario, it is better than just guessing. So yeah, there's tons of stuff going on in parallel. What I'm doing right now is I'm working on getting this data that we're collecting into a database so that we can serve it to not only ourselves, but maybe at some point in the future serve the raw data that we're processing from the SEC to users if they're interested. And once we have that, it'll be kind of in parallel designing the website, kind of finalizing the design of the website. We have the initial idea of what we want in it. That might change a bit, but we have the initial features thought out, and yeah, that's about it. So there's tons of stuff going on right now. Hopefully, I'm going to try and make at least one video a week with updates, but because we're really in the research and development stage, the vast majority of my time is going to be going into developing this. I'm the only one that's actually doing any coding. I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it's informative. And stay tuned for the next video in hopefully a week or so. Thanks.